Jayson Tatum's definitely young, not quite 19 years old, but we're going to get to Jayson Tatum and his leg injury. It was reported that, he's had surgery. He's going to make a full recovery on his Achilles. I believe it's his right Achilles. This is just awful. It was awful to see him go down like that, but we're going to talk about it for sure. Yeah, I guess this is a good time to get into the next topic, and that's the Boston Celtics versus the New York Knicks. That game, I mean, it was just so incredible. I'm going to break down the game for you guys. We're going to dig in, and yeah, we're going to listen to some sound as well. I have to say, when we take a look at the team stats, Jayson Tatum was the highest scorer on the floor, and he went down with an Achilles injury at the end of the game. He didn't play the last 3-4 minutes of the game because of this Achilles injury. I mean, it was just awful the way he went down. Really, nothing caused it. He went down similarly to the way that Kevin Durant went down with his Achilles injury. It was just heartbreaking to see because there was really great competition. Do I believe that the Knicks were going to win this game? Yes, I do. I think that the Knicks had a stronger second half than the Celtics. I think that Jalen Brunson was on a tear from the third quarter on, and the Knicks have been consistently the better fourth quarter team in close game situations. So I did think that the Knicks were still going to win, even if Jayson Tatum was still on the floor. But he put up a stellar performance. He really wanted to save the Celtics series. Salute to Jayson Tatum and everything he's done for their team this season, as well as in the postseason. He finally had his best game of the series, and it's shockingly devastating that he had to go down, with this leg injury, with the Achilles injury at the end of the game where, every possession mattered at that point, and they were basically trading 3-point shots. Clutch baskets back and forth, and it was just really awful. So, when we take a look at the team stats, Tatum, like I said, 42 points, highest scorer on the floor, 16 of 28 field goals, 100% from the free throw line. Jalen Brunson, just incredible performance by him on the Knicks. 39 points, 14 of 25 shooting, 7 out of 9 free throws. When we go ahead and we take a look at the team stats, the Knicks put up 92 shots, Celtics 79 shots. They shot 54%, 6 percentage points better than the Celtics did. The Knicks didn't shoot well from three, and they haven't been shooting well from three all series long. Celtics made 18 3-point shots, and they had a really great first half. And so I thought that the Celtics were going to win the game. I thought that they had a really strong first half, and they seemed to have it under control. They were shooting 37.5% from three to the Knicks 35. Knicks only made 12 3-point shots out of 34. I mean, the Celtics shot a much higher volume of three-pointers. The free throw differential was there. Celtics got to the line 26 times to the Knicks 12. So Celtics, they should have won the game based on that free throw differential, quite frankly. They went to the line 26 times, more than double the amount of times that the Knicks went, and the Knicks playing inside games. So they should have gotten to the line a little bit more. So this was home cooking at its finest. I'm sorry, this was the Celtics the referees really trying to keep the Celtics in the game, which I thought was interesting. But game 4 in the Garden by the Knicks was won again. And the Knicks out-rebounded the Celtics. They crashed the glass, and they crashed the glass very well. Jalen Brunson would miss a shot, get his own rebound, put it right back up. They were sensational from the mid-range. They assisted the ball better, 25 assists to the Celtics, 15. Celtics got a couple more stops than the Knicks did, 8 to their 5. They were tied up in blocks. So, from this team's stats, when you take a look, this doesn't look like a very defensive game, but it absolutely was. They both were tied up in turnovers, and they conceded almost an equal amount of points on turnovers. So Celtics conceded 19 versus the Knicks 18 points. Fast break points, they were tied up even. Points in the paint, the Knicks completely annihilated them in the paint. Fouls, the Knicks fouled more. and the Celtics had the largest lead at one point was 14 points. So the Knicks walked them down. Okay. And we saw that happen in the third quarter big time. The third quarter is what really sort of decided the game and changed the course of the game. It completely changed the trajectory of where, game 4 was headed that third quarter. And, when we take a look at the box score here, and we see just like what Jayson Tatum was able to do, he was just sensational in this game. He did have 4 turnovers. So did Jaylen Brown. He had 4 turnovers, but delivered 20 points. From behind the arc, Derek White was amazing. He was more than 50% from behind the arc. Tatum was really sensational. 7 3-point shots made, 42 points he exploded for. And again, he didn't play the last 4 minutes of the game. He went down with the Achilles injury, still exploded with 42 points. It looked like he was going to have a 50-point game. That's what it really looked like. It looked like he was going to go for 50, and perhaps the Celtics were still going to lose, but he played amazing, absolutely sensational. It was his best game in the series by far. When you take a look at the bench, Missoula did not play the bench. He played his starters for pretty much the whole game. And he only had Kristaps Porzingis, Peyton Pritchard, and Luke Cornett on the floor from the bench. And the bench, they delivered less than 20 points. So when we take a look at what the Knicks were able to do, Mikal Bridges he was amazing. He was hitting difficult shots from the mid-range. He didn't make as many 3-point shots, just 1 of 6 from the floor. OG Anunoby was sensational from behind the arc, 50% from 3. Jalen Brunson, 50% from 3. Josh Hart made a 3-pointer. I mean, the Knicks, they shot the ball much better in this game, but they're still not a 3-point team. Like I said, only 12 3-pointers made. Again, when you take a look at their bench, they didn't have much production, so the bench only delivered about 10 points. But it was the starters that came up big. Jalen Brunson with 39 points. And then their starters, pretty much 4 out of 5 starters had plus 20 points. So incredible performance by the Knicks. They really came up big. Karl Anthony Towns turned the ball over quite a bit, but still had 23 points, 11 rebounds. Jalen Brunson, I mean, look at this stat line. 39, 12, and 5. I mean, 12 assists. He really, not only did he score the ball, he created opportunities for his teammates. And that third quarter was just sensational. And I'm going to show you guys from a shot selection perspective what Tatum was able to do. And when we look at the third quarter, just Tatum and Brunson head to head, Brunson hit 2 threes, Tatum hit 1. Tatum Brunson outplayed Tatum in the third quarter. Tatum, it felt like he was the only one doing anything for the Celtics. I mean, he was just sensational in this game, but it wasn't enough. And then when we take a look at the fourth quarter, Tatum versus Brunson, I mean, and again, Tatum went down in the last 4 minutes. So this is Brunson for the whole fourth quarter. Would the Celtics actually have won this game if Tatum was able to stay on the floor? I don't think so. I think he was going to go for 50, but I think the Knicks were still going to win. Mikal Bridges came up big. He was hitting difficult mid-range shot after difficult mid-range shot. He was just really that good. Their starters came up big. So, this game, it was really a great game to watch. Stephen A. Smith, he was there covering the game, and this is what he said post-game. It was a somber moment, I think, because Jayson Tatum went down with injury. So it's hard for Knicks fans to feel so excited about this because you want the best competition on the floor. We don't want it to be an easy win for the Knicks. I mean, yes, I'm grateful that they're going to make it out of the second round, and I was wrong. I thought that the Knicks, their ceiling was the second round. I thought they would be eliminated. I thought they were going to get swept by the Boston Celtics. And, Captain Clutch himself, Jalen Brunson, he showed up, he showed out. Karl Anthony Towns, he did not play soft. He had, a broken finger, a broken thumb or something like that from the prior game, and he still came out and balled. OG Anunoby defended, two-way player, hit shots, got to the rim. I mean, they just played sensationally. And I'm really proud of New York. New York fans have a whole lot to celebrate. The Garden was on fire. New York streets they are celebrating. And, this is going to be the first time in 25 years that the Knicks make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So this is huge. And imagine if they go to the finals. This is going to be just New York is going to they're not going to know what to do with themselves. New York fans are going to be off the hook. So get ready. Get ready, New York City. Get ready, NBA. Get ready, NBA fans all over the world. You're not going to be able to say anything to New Yorkers right now. Okay. But we do have some sound. There was a lot of chatter in the sports media world surrounding the Knicks. Can they close the series in 5? What does Tatum's injury mean for the series? Do the Celtics have a chance of even making this a series and bringing it to 7 games? I don't think they have a chance in hell of coming back in this series. I don't think the Celtics have right now the energy. They don't seem like they're really in it right now. They seem deflated by Jayson Tatum's injury. And Porzingis is also having this unexplained illness. There's games that he looks really good. There's games that he's playing limited minutes. So it's tough for him to make a huge impact for the Boston Celtics. But I do want to play some sound for you guys surrounding the Knicks and just, whether or not Tatum's injury is going to have a huge impact and if they can close the series in 5. Let's hear it.
Stephen A. Smith was in the building for Game 4, and he joins us now from the Garden floor. So, Stephen A., this wasn't the epic late comebacks of Games 1 and 2. This was the Knicks going toe-to-toe with the Celtics the entire second half. What stood out to you about the way the Knicks played tonight?
Well, what you just said, how they went toe-to-toe, how they were ready for battle, how they showed up and they played defense collectively. Offensively, you had 4 different dudes scoring in double figures. This is what you expected from the New York Knicks. Not necessarily to win games, but to make it a grind and to make sure that the reigning defending NBA champions knew they were in a dogfight. The first 3 quarters of Games 1 and 2, you didn't see that. And then the Knicks miraculously came back from 20-point deficits. In Game 3, they got blitzed. And Boston, the best road team in the NBA, 5 games better than they were at home during this regular season, came into Madison Square Garden and bum rushed the New York Knicks. So you walked up in here, and that momentum, that vibe, that fervor, and everything that came with it for Game 3 at Madison Square Garden clearly dissipated to some degree coming into Game 4 because there were a lot of New Yorkers that were incredibly concerned. Could the Knicks beat this team? Could they avoid getting down into a deep deficit that they probably wouldn't be able to dig themselves out of? And sure enough, the New York Knicks stood toe-to-toe and battled them throughout before the New York Knicks pulled away. Despite the greatness of Jayson Tatum and what kind of show he put on, nobody else had anything that the New York Knicks couldn't handle. Collectively, they showed up, led by Jalen Brunson, the clutch player of the year, the face of this franchise, showing up and showing what a star he truly, truly is. And that's why they won this game.
And now they're just 1 game away from advancing to the conference finals. You mentioned Jayson Tatum, the great game he had, and then the terrible injury late in the game. And so now the Celtics have to try to regroup and win 3 in a row, likely without their best player. What sense do you have of what this series is going to look like the rest of the way?
Well, first order of business, we don't know what happened to him yet. A whole bunch of people are speculating courtside that it's a torn Achilles because it looked very similar to what happened to Kevin Durant years ago in the NBA Finals against Toronto. We hope that's not it, but everybody is of the mindset that's how it looked to the human eye, those of us near courtside watching what transpired to him. So we wish him nothing but the best. As it pertains to the Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown is getting paid $304 million for a reason. This kid Pritchard is 6th man of the year. Al Horford is a champion. Derek White and obviously Drew Holiday, they're champions. We know what they bring to the table, and you can't count them out. But it is safe to say that when you look at the New York Knicks right now, going up against a Boston Celtics team without Jayson Tatum, there is no question that the New York Knicks should win this series. You can't lose a 3-1 series lead, even to the reigning defending NBA champions, if they are devoid of their best player. The New York Knicks, if you can't close it out in Boston, you damn sure should be able to close it out at Madison Square Garden for Game 6. That is now the expectation for New Yorkers and New York fans everywhere.
I agree. I couldn't agree more, actually. The New York Knicks actually should be ashamed if they can't close this series out in 5 with Jayson Tatum not on the floor and just the performances that they've been able to put up. I mean, the Celtics do have some depth. Jaylen Brown could explode and take over games, but I just don't think that the Celtics have, like I said, the energy, the will to win at this point. I don't even think that the coach really has an answer for the hole that they're in right now. So they need to dig out of a 3-1 deficit, and I don't see that happening. So, Game 5, I think, is going to be really critical for the Knicks to just close it out, and if they want to win so bad in the Garden, I don't think that's necessary. Get to the Eastern Conference Finals, don't play around with this series and close out in 5. I believe the same thing happened in the semifinals with the Pacers. No, they weren't down 3-1, but the Knicks had an opportunity to close the series and they didn't. And I just, I wouldn't want to see the Celtics come back 3-1, back from down 3-1 on the Knicks' head. especially with Tatum being not on the floor. So they need to close this series out. Yes, if not in 5, but in 6. But I do think that it's shameful if they don't close it out in 6. And I'll be right here to beat up on my Knicks if they don't get this done. Just get it done and go to the Eastern Conference Finals and continue to excite New York Knicks fans in the Garden from that elusive conference finals that we haven't been able to get to since, in 25 years. So what I will say is that Kendrick Perkins, of course, he spoke very highly of Jalen Brunson. He had quite a bit to say. And the First Take crew, they had some commentary that I thought was interesting surrounding the series and whether or not the Celtics have a chance and whether or not, the Knicks can get this done in 5. So let's hear it.
The Knicks close out this series in Game 5 because these two gentlemen say no. They're expecting a big game from Jaylen Brown in Boston.
I'm not. I'm expecting Big Body Brunson to do what he do best, and that's close out games on the road. He's the best closer in the game right now, especially in the Eastern Conference. Saw what he did to Detroit. Hey, Molly, something about those road games and closeout games that brings out the best of him.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like right now, the Celtics and you know this, you got to have a different type of mental toughness right now, right? Your best player just went out. Jaylen Brown is dealing with a knee injury. I'm not making excuses for Boston, but I'm just calling it how it is. Drew Holiday is banged up. Kristaps Porzingis is sick, on and off. He's not healthy, right? And so now it's a mental thing, right? I heard Brian Windhorst last night. He was talking about how quiet it was in the locker room, how everybody was devastated. You down 3-1. Do you really feel like showing up and competing for this game 5? Do you really feel like getting this win and getting back on the plane and going through this entire series? Or is this locker room shook? No, it's I'm telling you, Jay, you looking, but it's a different type of mental toughness. This team is dealing with a lot right now, man, is what I'm trying to explain to you. And with Big Body Brunson, he smelled blood. And when he smelled blood, it's a problem. And he closes on the road. I think the Knicks close this at 5.
Big Perk, can I just say something to you? You talk about Drew Holiday being banged up. You talk about Porzingis being sick. You talk about Jaylen Brown's knee hurting. These all sound like damn excuses to me. I don't live in no world of excuses. I know Joe Mazzulla is built the same. You're damn right. If I'm a Boston Celtic, I want to get back on the damn plane. You're damn right. I may look shook for a minute, but this is why I talk to UD about this is going to challenge the character of the Boston Celtic team. I know the character of the Miami Heat. It's sitting right across the table from me. I want to see the character of the Boston Celtics. Now, you would know about that, Big Perk. You played on teams that had defining character in KG and Paul Pierce. Are you telling me they don't have that character to fight at home in a closeout scenario? To beat, now look, Jalen Brunson's going to have 3 more shots at closing it out. I'm not saying he can't close it out back at Knicks in Game 6 or back in Boston for Game 7 if it goes that way. But this one, if he gets this one, what does that say about the Boston Celtics? If I'm on the Celtics team, I can't let that happen.
Go ahead, UD.
Hey, listen,
go ahead.
No, listen, I'm going to say this, Perk, man. We was up on them boys 3-0, and they came back. And I understand this is a different team. They don't have Jayson Tatum. They got things going on with Porzingis. Jaylen Brown is not 100%, but I got to believe that there's some heart inside that locker room. Our job and our plan against those guys was to push them for 4 quarters for 48 minutes, and eventually we could break them. At one point, that did work for us. That didn't work for us after a while. They grew up. They grew out of that. Joe Mazzulla came in. The toughness changed. The attitude changed. Jaylen Brown took more of that leadership, I'm going to be the tough guy role. So I don't think that they don't want to get on that plane. I think them dudes got pride, man. They won a championship last year, and they also understand what they're up against right now.
This is what I'm explaining to y'all. I'm not saying they don't have pride. I'm not saying they don't have heart. All I'm saying is, if you don't have that, you don't win a championship. But I know this, when you're going after your first championship, you're starving. You're starving. Trying to repeat, I don't know if you still have that same type of, you may be hungry, but you're not starving. This entire series, I was worried just because, one, of the injuries, and I said this before the series started, that the Knicks had a golden opportunity. I picked the series to go 7. The Knicks had a golden opportunity to pop the Boston Celtics because the injuries, and I was wondering, was they starving again for that second championship? Here's the deal. I just see a Knicks team that are on a mission right now. You know what I mean? I see a Knicks team that's on a mission. I see a Boston team. I don't know. Kristaps Porzingis, he don't know what's going on with him. He's fatigued. He's saying all this. The Knicks ain't trying to hear that. I know Big Body Brunson, he trying to close you out. He ain't trying to waste time. That's what
let me piggyback on that sentiment. Because now, obviously, up 3-1, the Knicks are huge favorites to win the series. And obviously, remember, the Celtics opened as -900 favorite to beat the Knicks. Not only that, the Knicks are the favorite to win the East, but to make it to the NBA Finals. So here's what I want to know. Would it be a disappointment now, UD, if the Knicks don't reach the Finals?
No, not to me. I'm not guaranteeing.
nuts.
I'm not guaranteeing that they don't go to the finals. I'm not. They got to still go through Indiana. Whoever wins that series. I'm not just going to say just because they beat Boston. And the Knicks didn't come here and go to training camp and put that team together just to beat Boston in the second round. They put that team together to win a championship. They still have to play either Indiana or Cleveland. And last year, if I'm not mistaken, Indiana beat them. Yes, Cleveland had. New York had some injuries. But Indiana beat them. And what we're going to do is we're going to give Indiana their flowers, but they're playing good basketball. And they're not a team that we're just going to say the Knicks just going to run over and go to the finals if they beat Boston. I don't agree with that. I would say this. Typically, I would agree with you. But the question is it a disappointment if the Knicks do not reach the finals? And here, let me tell you why it is. Because Indiana beat them last year in the Eastern Conference semifinals in Game 7 when Tyrese Halliburton had 26 points and they shot 68% from the field.
Yes.
So regardless of injuries, they got punked in that Game 7. And defense is something that Tibbs has always prided himself on. What did we see them do last night, Big Perp? We saw a team last night, and their strategy was, hey, we're going to switch every pick and roll.
Yes.
We're going to be patient.
I think it's really interesting. A couple things that were said here. And just so you guys know, Indiana Pacers are going to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second year in a row. They have just defeated the Cavaliers. Game wasn't really close, but the score looks a lot closer than it was. Now the OKC game versus Denver Nuggets is on. OKC came out aggressive. They were up at 5 points when I last checked in the game. It was 7-2. So, really excited to continue to watch that game. I'm going to get you guys out of here soon. We just have 2 topics left, but yeah, we can go ahead and move on to the Golden State Warriors and the T-Wolves game. I think, just to sort of tack on to what Kendrick Perkins was saying and what Udonis Haslem was saying, like he's basically saying, hey, the Celtics are the defending champs. They have fight in them. They're not just going to lay down and let the Knicks beat them. But I actually think that they are going to lay down and let the Knicks beat them. I think they want to be put out of their misery at this point. Like I said, I think that they are resting on their laurels because they have a title from last season. And it's just kind of like, okay, well, if we continue playing, like how far are we going to win the title this year without Tatum? So they might as well just eliminate themselves as far as I'm concerned. But really happy that the Knicks have this chance. They're up 3-1 and hopefully they don't blow it. Hopefully Tibbs doesn't blow it for their team. And hopefully they can stay healthy. Last season when they played the Indiana Pacers, injuries really got them. The whole team pretty much was injured and trying to play through injury. And that's what really stunted their season. So we're going to see. We're going to see what they do with the Pacers in the next round. And what that's going to look like is, are we going to be shouting what the Hallie or are we going to be shouting Captain Clutch? So, something tells me we're going to be shouting Captain Clutch. They definitely want a piece of Halliburton since last season. They want their revenge. The Knicks are, locked and loaded and they're ready to, they're ready to get revenge on the Pacers for what they did last season to them. And, they undressed the Knicks last season. Yes, they were injured. No, they weren't full strength. But, this season, what's going to be the excuse? If everybody from the Knicks is out on the floor, they've acquired Anthony Towns, they picked up Mikal Bridges. So, what would be the excuse? Is this going to be the series that they miss Dante DiVincenzo shooting? I think it might be. So, the Knicks are going to have to they're going to have to put the clamps on the Pacers, especially Halliburton. They're going to have to completely shut him down. They're going to have to, figure out how to defend this team in a way that demoralizes them. And I think that's what they need to do. It's going to be a psychological series as well. So, shout out to the New York Knicks and the Pacers. I think that they will wind up facing them. I mean, the Celtics don't seem to have a chance. I do think that they're pretty much done for. So, yes, congratulations to Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers, Rick Carlisle as well. They have been a great coach team. They've been playing really good basketball, and I think that it is important to give them credit for that, for sure. So, I think now is a really good time for us to move on to the Golden State Warriors game versus the Timberwolves. That's been an interesting series, and mainly for the storyline.